Hello there and welcome to the Art Room. This is a free art lesson and I want to give you a few tips about drawing still life. When you are confronted by a bunch of objects, which is our American way of saying several objects, it's always difficult to figure out where to begin. You have all these interesting things in front of you, different shapes. Some of them are very seductive colors, some of them are fascinating contours. So where do you begin? And I have found the easiest way to approach this, particularly if you're drawing with a marker, which I do a great deal of instead of drawing with pencil where you can erase, is to begin with an object that is closest to you, because obviously everything that goes back in space will be overlapped by the thing in front of it. And unless you want a picture that looks like an X-ray drawing where you can see through your objects, you really need to start with what's closest to you. It's also good training for your eye. It helps you to focus on the outline and the relationship between each of those shapes. So I have not the most thrilling still life in the world, but I have three objects which are different sizes. One is organic, one is made in a factory, and one is carved. So it's it's not a bad still life, to tell you the truth, seeing as we whipped it up here. So I'm going to start a little bit, if this is my picture space, I'm going to start a little bit into the space. That's another important tip about composition. Don't start your objects on the bottom of the paper. You do not want an apple balancing on the edge of the paper, because your viewer is going to be so uncomfortable feeling instinctively that the apple's about to drop right out of the painting or the drawing. So I'm going to start at about here. I can see that my apple is a little right of center, so I need to start a little right of center so that I can get my beautiful mannequin into the picture. So I'm going to start right in with my black marker, like so. So the apple is what's closest to me. There's some cast shadow here, which I don't want to forget about. My apple has a little dent in it with a stalk, albeit a plastic one, and a leaf which overlaps the skin of the apple, and a leaf which very conveniently comes out right there. Something along those lines. Now, of course, I can close up my apple. Alrighty, so I have an apple. I have a mug which is behind the apple. Now, here is where you are gauging relationship in order to get as accurate a drawing as possible. So if I'm looking right there, I can see a teeny bit of the mug coming out from the edge of the apple. How far down the apple is it? About 1/3 of the way, about there. So I'm going to create the shape of the mug. And the mug also has a really nice cast shadow going on. And where does the mug emerge from behind the apple? Right behind that leaf, about there. And of course, the opening in the mug is an elliptical shape. It's not round because we're not looking on top of the mug, we're looking across at the mug, but you are going to have an elliptical shape. And as I'm drawing in marker, forgive me if it's not the best elliptical shape, but somewhere along those lines, right? Now the mug has a handle, and I have to draw the handle because the handle's in front of my mannequin. So here comes the handle. It comes out here somewhere. And of course the handle is not one single thin line. It does have form to it, so that it has two contours. Where does it go into the mug? Well, just about where, in fact, the bottom of it goes. Now I'm gauging the shape of that handle because I'm gauging where the bottom contour of the handle meets the contour of the apple, which in fact is about here. And the inner contour, no, that's the outer contour. Here's the inner contour. And here's my outer contour. Well, believe it or not, it worked. Okay, so now for my mannequin. Now my mannequin is standing behind these two objects. So where does my mannequin touch the mug? Well, let me take a look about 1/3 of the way around the rim. So somewhere here begins the mannequin. And he has very shapely legs, I must say. And he has charming knees and the beginning of a torso. Alrighty. Now where's the other leg of the mannequin? Well, my mannequin is on a rod. So he has a rod. Here's my rod. And the rod, you have to jump over the handle, continue the rod, and jump over the bottom of the handle and continue the rod. And then his torso will continue up here, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, you don't want to finish off, you don't want your objects floating in the ether. So let's put on a little bit of tabletop right there. Bring it forward. And that's pretty much your still life. So what we've learned today is start with whatever's in front, work your way backwards slowly and carefully, pay attention to the relationships. Have fun with your still life, and we'll see you next time.